outside.
I looked outside.
What did I see?
What did I see?
A little bird.
A little bird.
He looked at me.
He looked at me.
I lured him close.
I lured him close.
With a piece of bread.
With a piece of bread.
And then I smashed.
And then I smashed
his little head.
his little head.
The moral of
The
story is.
the story is.
You want some head.
You want some head.
You need some bread.
You need some bread.
Right turn. Huh. bird.
a little bird.
He looked at me.
He looked at me.
I lured him close.
I heard him close
With a piece of bread.
with a piece of bread.
And then I smashed.
Then I smashed
his little head.
his little head.
Well, hello and welcome to another Wednesday evening live at Restore Live, Restore UK, going out on Facebook, also going out to the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, to the Restore channel, that's Restore UK on YouTube, and also now we go to the Twitter channel. And I have to say, looking across at the Twitter channel, it's starting to get some viewers and get some shares. So if you are on Twitter, if you would like to go across and if you would like to perhaps give us a like or give us, whatever it is that you do on Twitter. We're pretty new to that. So we're just going to put up here whilst we're here. Join us on Twitter at Restore UK. And I think they call that the Twitter handle. I'm new to this, at Restore UKNI. And the reason why that we've went to Twitter is that we're trying to actually broaden our audience. Now, this evening we're here for again another special reason, and the special reason being this evening is that we've named the title of this screen, the pantomime. It continues. And we're going to be getting on with doing what we do here at Restore just in a few moments. So we are. So again, if you just give me 2 seconds, what I want to do here is I'm going to play that 40-second promo just one more time. And on the back of that, I'll have changed my screen and then we'll be getting on with what it is that we're here to do. So bear with me for 40 seconds. So, okay, the pantomime, it continues. And why does it continue, you ask? Well, we've seen that the constitutional changing protocol that everyone's talking about, that most of the news is actually occupied by these days. Well, today, it took a new turn of events in where that just a few days ago, there was an announcement by the British government, and I'm just recapping, and I'm sure that most of the people here would actually know what happened. But, just a few days ago, there was a bill which was aimed at rectifying the problems with the protocol and with the constitutional changing EU protocol, which has been foisted upon the people of Northern Ireland, separating Northern Ireland from the rest of the United Kingdom. That's separating us from England, Scotland and Wales. And, that is totally unacceptable to the people of Northern Ireland. So we have seen over the last number of months in the run-up to the Assembly election here in Northern Ireland, well, what happened was that there was protocol rallies. And, without getting into the entire detail of what happened in those rallies, I would just again like to emphasize and quote a few words from, say, for example, the leader of unionism today would be the leader of the main unionist party, and that would be Jeffrey Donaldson of the DUP. And we all know what Jeffrey Donaldson had said on those anti-protocol rally stages, when he said that the protocol, number one, it has to go. He was very explicit in that the protocol must go. Then he said that the democratic right of the people of Northern Ireland, it must be, or he says it should be actually protected. So, I mean, there's two things that by which the DUP was actually selling their election campaign on, is that they were going to stand strong, they were going to stand tough for and on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland. Now, that was before the Assembly elections. Now, what I wanted to do this evening is that whenever that we wanted to set up here, I mean, I personally, I took a look through some of our archives, actually looking for some of the things that the DUP have been saying over a time frame. Now, this is a very interesting one. And you know, it was one of those moments when you look in, and you know, you've no need to actually look in this particular file. And I came across this video. Now, I cut this video for a different reason, but it's very interesting what this person is actually saying. And you know, this was Arlene Foster. I'm going to play a clip of now. What I want to do, I want to first and foremost, before that I play this clip, I want to pop up something on our screen here. And this is just to show you what it was that Arlene was saying whenever the protocol first came into being. Now, here we go. I'm going to pop up this little JPEG file just in front of us here. So this was on the 3rd of January in 2021. And if you can remember, the constitutional changing protocol that came into being on the 1st of January, or really it was 11 o'clock the night before, really, is how that it actually came into being. So let's say, for talk's sake, it came into being on the 1st of January 2021. Now, what was it Arlene was saying in this newspaper article? Arlene Foster sees gateway of opportunity in UK-EU trade deal. So you see, that's what Arlene was actually saying back then. Now, I can tell you that Arlene Foster would have sat in Armagh with Simon Coveney, and also with Michelle O'Neill in December of 2019. Before that, she said this, that Foster sees gateway of opportunity in the UK-EU trade deal. Now, here's the thing, is that Arlene Foster then seems to have changed her tune as time went on, as did, say, Jeffrey Donaldson changed the tune. Now, I came across a small video clip of Arlene, and what I want to do is I want to pop it onto the screen, and I want to talk about it for a few moments. So what I would like to do is I'm just about to pop this up. So I want to ask the people on the live chat, and again, I'm getting forever amazed at the people that come here and how that it is that you know, the numbers are going up and up and up from across the platforms, and even looking over there at the Twitter, we've got some viewers there. So again, to the Twitter viewers, if you can share the screen on Twitter for us, if you support the work that we do, even if you don't support the work that we do, if you can share that screen for us, well, that would be absolutely delightful. Now, to the people in the live chat across the Facebook channels and also in the YouTube channel, again, we're going to ask people to share this screen as far and as wide as you can. And it's really, really good to see the likes of Derek Ogle there, who is doing his job, and he's tagging people into the live chat. That would be on Facebook. So come on, people, get the numbers up, give us a like, give us a love, give us a share, and make this stream even more popular than it is, because this is the people's media. This is your media, and we are here working on behalf of you. If you're a British Unionist in this country, well, you know, we are the channel to go to, and it's growing from strength to strength, even although that the social media platforms, well, we have it on record from, say, the Facebook channels, that what they are doing is they are restricting what the reach that we have. However, that we do okay regardless of that. So again, I've got to take my hat off to the people that actually follows our channel. So thanks again to the Twitter followers. I see that people are actually sharing that out for us, which is good. So here we go. We're going to get on with things. What we want to do is that we want to, again, I'm just going to pop this up for 2 seconds here from William Robert, because this is a very interesting one before that we play an old piece of archive footage from Arlene Foster, and you can probably see the smile on my face whenever we have this lined up ready to play. We're going to have some fun with this. And again, politicians need to be very, very careful about what they say, because, you know, people at Restore, what we now do is that we archive all the utterings from our politicians, from other politicians, and we gather as much of these as we can, and we can go into files at a later stage and pull them up and actually what they said. So never before has unionist politicians in Northern Ireland been held to account in such a way. But here at Restore, well, you know that we won't let you down. So popping this up here from William Robert, it's Jim Allister and Ben Habib have confirmed that the government's proposals is not good enough. That's good enough for me, William. That is also, it's very significant, and it's also good enough for me, because it shows that people like you, people like I, people like others are not standing alone. And seemingly there are some within our community that want to press on and do a different thing, that they want to sell this deal. And we're going to get into this as we go. We've got plenty of video footages and who said what and when and where. So we'll do that as we go. So again, pop that up and we'll knock it back down again. So here we go, over to that little video clip from Arlene Foster. And I want you to listen very, very carefully to what it was that Arlene Foster would have said, you know, sometime around the time whenever the protocol came into being. So here we go.
The North Sea, even if they are of a regulatory nature, not customs checks.
No, and it's been very clear all along. That has been our one red line, that we cannot have either a customs border down the Irish Sea or a regulatory border, because that would make us separate from the rest of the United Kingdom. And that doesn't work from a constitutional perspective, and it doesn't work from an economic perspective either.
What if there was some political declaration that, OK, we have to agree to the possibility of checks, but they'll never be used? There's no way that they can add some language that would make you happy with any kind of the extra checks?
No, because, of course, that would...
Now, this is hugely, hugely, hugely significant in terms of the DUP and what it is that the DUP are prepared to sign up to right now. So let's just rip that back again, and let's just play that again, and we'll start and we'll stop at the appropriate parts of what it was that Arlene Foster had said. And what we want to do now is, now that we've found this, now that we remember how that it was that the DUP had been selling things, well, I now look at what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson and co are prepared to sign up to. They've already signed up to it in principle, and don't let anybody tell you that they haven't. So here's what we're going to do. And it's good to see Big Noel back again. Noel, thanks very much for coming along. And honestly, Noel, if you could actually tag some of your friends into the live chat there, you know, this is a good show. This is going to be good this evening, whenever that we're showing some of the things that the DUP have been saying. And then what we're going to do on the show, just to give a broad outline to the people on Facebook, to the people on YouTube, to the people on Twitter, what I want to do is that I want to just outline what it is that we're going to be doing tonight. So this is an old clip from Arlene Foster, and where that Arlene Foster said some very, very, very interesting things that we want to be going back to the DUP press office now, and we want to be asking the press office is what has happened to the DUP's line that Arlene Foster, say, for example, here would have been promoting, and we'll let people that is just into the channel, we'll let them hear what Arlene Foster was promoting. Then we want to go to a short clip from Alex Easton, and we want to let people understand how that it is that the DUP spads in the Legislative Assembly at Stormont, how that it was that they were swindling their own MLAs to vote for regulations that would breathe life into the constitutional changing protocol. And that was at a time whenever that all MLAs from within that assembly, with the exceptions of Jim Allister and Jim Wells, well, they all voted for 45 EU rules, from what Jim Allister was saying to me, told me on this screen at one time. But don't take my word for it. What we'll do is we'll play it and we'll let people see. So here we go. We want to focus in, and Noel, very, very welcome there, very welcome. And as I said last night, it was really good to see you just a few weeks ago, and to put a face to the name. Thank you. So here we go. Customs or regulatory border will impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. Look, do you see what that says there? I mean, that's what Arlene Foster basically said. So a customs or a regulatory border will impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. Now remember that, because what is on offer right now through the deal that was just unfolding in the last few days, through this protocol bill that was just published just a few days ago, is that what you have is that you have, I would argue, a customs border and a regulatory border. But Arlene Foster is saying here it will impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. Now, I think that they're well chosen words from Arlene Foster. So let's let you hear what Arlene Foster had to say.
Willing to accept any checks across the North Sea, even if they are of a regulatory nature, not customs checks.
No, and
so that was a clear no from Arlene Foster, even if they're just regulatory checks, and this is what they're proposing now. But Arlene had said no. So let's just get this right. So the DUP got rid of Arlene Foster here, but Arlene Foster was taking a stronger stance, say, that, for example, than Jeffrey Donaldson was taking. And I'm just merely pointing something out. And this is the joy of us holding these clips and these utterances from people, because what we can now do is that we can now pull them up on the things that they say. So let's just hear what Arlene Foster had to say, and we'll play it right through for the 2 minutes that it goes.
It's been very clear all along. That has been our one red line, that we cannot have either a customs border down the Irish Sea or a regulatory border, because that would make us separate from the rest of the United Kingdom.
So let's be absolutely clear, is that we cannot, I'm just going to wind that back to let you hear that. This is music to my ears. This is music, absolute and utter music to my ears. Let's go again. Here we go.
Have either a customs border down the Irish Sea or a regulatory border, because that would make us separate from the rest of the United Kingdom, and that doesn't work from a constitutional perspective, and it doesn't work from an economic perspective either.
What if there was some political declaration that okay?
So I asked the question, and this is a serious question, and you just heard what Arlene Foster said. She couldn't have a customs or a regulatory border because that would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. And what has changed within the DUP? That they're now accepting red lanes, which is regulatory, which is customs, and they're accepting green lanes, which again is regulatory, which is EU customs control. What is happening in the DUP? That why have they give and give and give and moved to a position in where that they're now accepting customs and regulatory border, even though that it would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom, said Arlene Foster. So let's play on and let's listen.
Okay, we have to agree to the possibility of checks, but they'll never be used. There's no way that they can add some language that would make you happy with any kind of...
Now, we have to get me up here to listen to this here. So there's no way that they could add some language which would make you accept this. This is what the lady says. Now listen to Arlene Foster.
Extra checks.
No, because of course that would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom.
That was a good video clip, and that is a good video clip to hold. That is a good video clip to be able to send to the DUP, because in the past few days, well, what we have noticed is that now that they are accepting not just constitutional and regulatory customs checks on the border, but what they're actually doing is that they're permitting, in principle, for the transplanting of the border, which is between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic, and they're transplanting that border, quote unquote, permanently in Larne, in Belfast, and in Warrenpoint. But look, it was interesting to hear Arlene Foster there. And what we want to do here going forward is that you're going to see more and more and more of that particular clip. And in fact, we're going to publish it on Restore UK and the various channels also across. So again, looking at the Twitter there, I mean, people on Twitter see that there's people watching. I mean, if you're in support of what we do, if you could give us a share, give us a like, and also ensure that other people come to watch the channel. So here's what we're going to do now, people, is that we're going to go straight in, and we want to now play another little video. Now let's just see how that we should do this here. Should we I'm just trying to make a decision because we want to lay this out in a way that things actually make really, really good sense. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share the screen here. If you just bear with me for a second, we'll do it in this way. Right. Right. Okay. So I want to play a little clip from Mary Lou McDonald. And I want to let you hear some of the utterings from, or the utterances from Mary Lou McDonald in the past few days. Now, this is highly significant utterances. And the reason why that I want to do this is that I want to do this because people needs to understand actually what is at stake these days. So yes, I'm just actually identifying the one that I need to go to. So here we go. Now, I want to literally do this and then do this.
In the democratic test on these matters, the people of the North have spoken. A majority of MLAs elected to the Assembly support the protocol, and when there is a vote in 2024, assuming that the Assembly is up and running, and even if it's not, a majority of those MLAs will vote to continue and support that protocol.
So I'm just going to stop there for a moment, and then I'm going to wind this right back, and I'm going to come in and talk to you for a second or two. Okay? So so here we have Mary Lou McDonald, and she's speaking about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is this, is that she was speaking about a vote in the Northern Ireland Assembly there, in where that the MLAs, where they would have a vote and they would be voting as to whether or not that they wanted to exclude. And I'll say this in this way because we'll have to choose this language very, very carefully. But it's smoke and mirrors is what I'm about to say before that I even start. But the way that this is set up is that the Northern Ireland Assembly, well, they would get to have a vote between the MLAs, and they would vote to keep the protocol or keep, well, the way it is. It wouldn't be excluding and getting rid of the entire protocol, even if they voted against it, which we know that they won't. But you know, it's a vote which votes to exclude some of the protocol, maybe the bits that isn't actually working, but the protocol actually remains. Now, I've talked to some friends, and we believe that what is happening right now within the pantomime, you know, the title of this screen is that the pantomime, it actually continues. And, you know, what you're seeing today on your news is that, you know, the bill was published just a few days ago. Now, it is the promise of something, the bill. It isn't actually anything, even though that it doesn't go far enough, as Arlene Foster would have said there, is that what they are proposing is to impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. Not my words, but Arlene Foster's words from just over a year ago. So what the bill actually does is the bill, what it allows for changes in certain things on the promise of these things being changed, but not actually having been changed. And really what it is, it's a mechanism by which that the Conservatives, I mean, there's a recess here over the summer. They'll come back again late September, start of October. They'll pick up the pieces. My belief is that they then go and they start negotiating yet again with the EU, which will kick the can on down the road and kick the can down the road for another year, after which that we could end up at this point in which that Mary Lou McDonald is actually speaking about. So again, let's just go back here. I'll put the screen up just a bit further there. And I want to actually play this again, and we'll stop and we'll start as we go whenever the relevant words become available.
Ready. And let me emphasise again, in the democratic test on these matters, the people of the North have spoken. A majority of MLAs elected to the Assembly support the protocol, and when there is a vote in 2024, assuming that the Assembly is up and running, and even if it's not, a majority of those MLAs will vote to continue and support that protocol.
So people, in 2024, there's going to be a vote. in the Northern Ireland Assembly. And even if the Northern Ireland Assembly isn't up and running, the majority of the MLAs under the legislation that is there, well, what they do is they get this vote and they can vote to maintain the protocol. Now, how I understand it is it's smoke and mirrors. I mean, even if the numbers were there for unionists, this protocol wouldn't be voted out of existence. It would only be a vote towards putting right the problems within the protocol. And again, it's entirely smoke and mirrors. So whenever you hear people saying that, well, like I've heard it said by Jeffrey Donaldson, I've heard it been said by Doug Beattie, is that, well, there's a vote within the Assembly. Look, the reality is that the numbers isn't there whenever you take that there's the cross-community Ulster Unionist Party who support the European Union, and goodness knows what way they'd vote. And then you have the Alliance Party and, you know, the Sinn Féiners and the SDLP, which will team together in order to derail any success that perhaps unionists could ever have from within that assembly. So again, I'm going to point out something, and you heard Mary Lou McDonald actually speaking about it there. 2024, not that far away, just a year and a half and maybe a few months or whatever. I don't know the exact date, but here's your thing. Is that, you know, remember that this protocol bill, it will go on to, I'm going to say late September, October, before anything's done. And this is the second year in the row that this has actually happened, where the government, where they laid down what you call a command paper, after which the Jeffrey Donaldson would have went to community groups, community leaders from within the unionist community, and he would have promised them, and this is a fact, he would have promised them, community leaders, that if nothing happened by last October, then he was going to walk away from Stormont. And we now know Jeffrey Donaldson's word not to be good on these matters, because what he did is he went back to these people again, and, you know, and he asked for more time, and it was kicked down the road and kicked down the road. And we only seen him, you know, pull things down, even, albeit not fully, but we seen him pull things down, you know, before the assembly elections, because the DUP at that point were absolutely unelectable. So there's a forewarning for people, is the can will be kicked down the road until October time. Then after which that the British government, I believe, will go into a long drawn out negotiation yet again with reference to this protocol. And we've already heard it from the uncompromising EU. And in case you didn't hear it, we're going to play it here this evening. But we've heard Maros Shevchevich, I hope that's said right. We're going to hear Maros actually saying that well, they're not going to be negotiating on the protocol. The protocol stays, the protocol remains. And you heard what Arlene Foster had to say about that, is that regulatory checks or customs checks, it would impede, not my words, Arlene Foster's words, it would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. So what has changed from within the DUP headquarters, in that Jeffrey Donaldson has even softened? They got rid of Arlene Foster because that people were complaining that she was too soft. And now we have an even softer and even more, I'm going to say, willing to compromise unionist leader than Arlene Foster, according to the language which I just played you there from Arlene Foster. That is. So there you go. There was video number one. That was Mary Lou McDonald talking about the 2024 vote, in which that we could be all being played like well-tuned fiddles. You know, in a pantomime, the key words is this, and I'm looking at the Twitter here, is the key words is that, look out, it's behind you. Look out, it's behind you. And well, it's in front of you in this case. Look out. That vote is in front of you, and that vote is only a year and a half away. And if the British government go into these negotiations with the EU, all they need to do is to drag it out until that point in 2024, in where that pan-nationalist front will actually vote to keep that protocol in place. And that would be game, set and match to the EU, and British Unionists here in Northern Ireland would have been undemocratically annexed from the rest of the United Kingdom, putting in place the breakup of the United Kingdom. So this is a very, very dangerous game that people are actually playing. Now, some would argue, let me just clarify here, some would argue that if this legislation is actually enacted, and if this legislation, moves to put in place particular things, the type of things that Jamie Bryson would be saying that would be in what this bill actually is, even though that Arlene Foster would have said, no, it would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom, regulatory or customs checks. But you see, for all the good things that is in that bill, even if the British government actually voted and they enacted those things, well, you see, there still will be a vote. And some are arguing, well, that would actually exclude. In fact, I heard from the Irish government, that guy, what do you call him, Neil Richmond, and he is actually scaremongering, absolutely scaremongering. He is winding up the nationalists, winding up the Republicans by saying that the British government are about to take away that particular vote. Well, I would argue that that isn't actually the case either, whenever you look at this all in an objective way. So, people, what we're going to now do is that we're going to move on, and we're going to want to hear Morris Shechkovich. That's who we're going to listen to. I love saying that word, Shechkovich. I could be saying something else, but look, we'll refrain. We'll keep this channel clean and free from, let's just say that we'll not say what we want to say. But here we go. Over to Morris, and we're going to listen to some of what Morris had to say today. And what we will do is that we will start and stop as we go on.
Who will react to the answer by the UK government. Good morning. On Monday, the UK government tabled legislation confirming its intention to unilaterally break international law. More precisely,
You got to excuse me, people here. That's my fault.
That protects peace and stability in Northern Ireland, an agreement that we reached together only 2 years ago. Let there be no doubt. There is no legal nor political justification whatsoever for unilaterally changing an international agreement. Opening the door to unilaterally changing an international agreement is a breach of international law as well. So let's call it a spade.
My fault. My fault. I'm going.
The answer by the UK government. Good morning. On Monday, the UK government tabled legislation confirming its intention to unilaterally break international law. More precisely, to break an agreement that protects peace and stability in Northern Ireland, an agreement that we reached together only 2 years ago. Let there be no doubt. There is no legal nor political justification whatsoever for unilaterally changing an international agreement. Opening the door to unilaterally changing an international agreement is a breach of international law as well. So let's call a spade a spade. This is illegal. The UK bill is extremely damaging to mutual trust and respect between the EU and the UK. It has created deep uncertainty and casts a shadow over our overall cooperation. All at a time when respect for international agreements has never been more important. That is why the Commission has today decided to take legal action against the United Kingdom for not complying with significant parts of the Protocol on Ireland, Northern Ireland.
At that point, I really want to come in, and we heard it said today that this legal action, also that can take a long time to come around too. And again, remember that time frame of 2024, in where that there's going to be a vote in the Northern Ireland Assembly, in where that if the MLAs vote to keep that protocol, well, that protocol, I hate to say it, it is staying. Now, is this the game plan? Is this the gameplay? And you just seen there that Mary Lou McDonald has already identified that. So here's the dangerous game you see that your politicians are actually playing. Whenever that they don't insist that the protocol has to go, whenever they have now accepted, whenever they have moved from Jeffrey Donaldson's words before they on the protocol rally stages, whenever Jeffrey Donaldson would have said that the protocol has to go, that the democratic right of the people has to be respected. And now with all the shenanigans ongoing, you see that Sinn Féin, they're not slow. They have already identified that this vote is in 2024. And what you're seeing now is lots of mechanisms being put in place in where that what will happen, in my humble opinion, is that we will be at 2024 at the point of that vote, before that it, and these MLAs from within that assembly under this mandate, and you can be absolutely 200 million% assured that they will actually vote that protocol into place. Now, is this the plan of even the Boris Johnsons of this world? Because let's remember, Boris Johnson was the person that signed us up to this protocol. Boris Johnson is a globalist by nature. Boris Johnson wants his feet under the globalist table. Boris Johnson wants to look good on the world stage. And, the best way to make Boris Johnson look good is whenever he's doing things for and on behalf of the EU and the global cabal. And you've seen that during the that recent Ukrainian scenario, in where that the British government are going out of their road to help to solve problems in Ukraine right now, and how that it was that even sure you've seen that the England, the UK, they didn't get no point in the recent Eurovision Song Contest. Didn't they come second? Weren't they allowed to get no point? They got more than no point. They got plenty of points. Why? Because they're doing exactly what these people want them to do. And you see Boris Johnson, whenever he is being lauded in that way, well, who's more worth to Boris Johnson and Boris Johnson's career prospects? Is it the EU or is it the people of Northern Ireland? Will we always be the fall guy? Will we always be the whipping boy? Will we always be the loser whenever we have such a prime minister at the helm of conservatism in Northern Ireland or in the United Kingdom? So the only thing, and this is what I want to impress before that we go on with Maros Sečkovic, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, that there is only one lever that we as British Unionists actually have for ensuring that we don't get a raw deal. And that is right now that you see this assembly, that this peace process, that this quote unquote appeasement process, which only is on a one-way street, which only worked for Republicans. This appeasement process, well, you see, it comes to an end if it doesn't have cross-community support. But can we rely on our leaders to actually get what we are talking about this evening? Can we rely on those leaders to come up, to step up to the plate and to say the protocol has to go? The democratic right of the people of Northern Ireland has to be respected. And if that's not the case, well, we are no part of this so-called Good Friday appeasement process and everything that has flowed from it from the day that it was signed until this. And that's what we need from within British Unionism today. So whenever I see lackeys promoting the things that are happening from within this protocol bill and saying that this is a win and this is a win and that's a win, well, as the man would have said at the start there, William Robert, that it's good to see that both Ben Habib and Jim Allister have stepped up to the plate and says that this simply is not good enough, Because why? Because it annexes Northern Ireland away from the rest of the United Kingdom. And remember that, because those are the only words that matter to us right now. So let's go on with Maros Sečkovič, and we'll just listen to some more of what he said, and then before we move on.
We have been withholding this legal action over the last year because we wanted to create a constructive atmosphere to find solutions. The UK government's decision has left us with no choice but to act. First, we are proceeding a step further with the infringement process we launched in March 2021 regarding, for instance, the movement of agri-food. If the UK doesn't reply within 2 months, we may take them to the Court of Justice. Second, we are launching 2 new infringements against the UK. One for failing to carry out the necessary controls at the border control posts in Northern Ireland by ensuring adequate staffing and infrastructure.
So here we have the European Union telling the British government what it is that they can and cannot do from within their own country. They're wanting to take the British government to court for not imposing EU borders between Northern Ireland and England, Scotland, and Wales. Look, get this, people, get this. If there's nothing else that you understand who these people are, what these people are saying. And these people are not your friend. These people are your enemy. These people are seeking to break up the United Kingdom. And they're talking about taking the British government to court for not implementing properly the border checks between Northern Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales. Didn't they say that they want to look after people? Don't they say that they are, encompassing in where that they want to ensure that everyone's rights, quote unquote, are respected? That's what they say. But by their actions, they do something completely different. So, and I'm going to get into something else as we go on, and we're not going to stay too long with Maros because we just wanted to understand exactly what he just said there, is that he wants to take the British government to court for not implementing border checks at Larne, at Belfast, and at Warrenpoint. So if the British government, or if Jeffrey Donaldson, or if British Unionism here in Northern Ireland want to complain about us being undemocratically separated from England, Scotland, and Wales, unjustifiably separated from England, Scotland, and Wales, if we want to say, hold on, we are not being treated right, this is against our democratic rights, this is against our human rights, this is against our birthrights. If we say that, these people, their answer is to threaten legal action to ensure that we are made second-class citizens, all because that we wanted to leave their undemocratic, dictatorial Ponzi scheme, that is the European Union. These people are psychopathic. That's what they are. They aren't, friendly leaders. Let's move on and let's just play another piece. And then what we'll do is we'll kick him from our screen. So Maros Sečkovič. Did I say something else there? Here we go.
And one for failing to provide the EU with essential trade statistics data to enable the EU to protect its single markets. Ladies and gentlemen, the protocol was the solution agreed with the UK government to protect the Good Friday Belfast Agreement in all its dimensions, avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland, and protect.
So the protocol is to protect the Belfast Agreement. The protocol is to avoid a hard border on, he was just about to say there, the island of Ireland. What about avoiding a hard border between England, Scotland, and Wales and Northern Ireland? What about that? Remember what Arlene Foster said? She says that regulatory or customs checks impede the constitutional integrity of Northern Ireland. Now, we're going to use Arlene's words a lot, and that's because that was straight out of the DUP leadership back then. And isn't it interesting how that the DUP leadership have actually changed their words over time? So again, we're just going to play just another little bit here from Morris, and then we're going to drop it. We're going to talk a little bit to the live chat. We'll play a little promo, 40 seconds, and then we'll move on with what it is that we have to do.
The integrity of the EU's single market. We know that there are some practical difficulties in implementing it. We have said so openly. That is why my team and I had been engaging extensively with all stakeholders on the ground, resulting in a set of solutions put forward in October, showing genuine and unprecedented flexibility. For example, our proposals would reduce sanitary and phytosanitary checks and controls by more than 80%. They would cut customs.
Right, I think actually, let's just stop
create an
that.
express lane for goods moving from Great Britain.
Okay, so I think we've heard enough of Morris there. I think he said enough, but we've got what we want out of what it is that Morris was speaking about. And what it is that Morris is threatening is to take the British government to court because they won't implement a border between, in the middle, slap bang, in the middle of the United Kingdom. Now, you tell me that that's intolerable to any unionist around this country. And well, I'm going to tell you that if it is tolerable to a unionist, they're simply not a unionist. There's something else masquerading as a unionist. So let's take Morris away there. There you go, just before that he makes everybody sick. So what we want to do is that we want to recap just before that we move on, is that there's a vote in the Assembly in 2024. The Sinn Féiners, as I have just shown you, have already identified this vote, and they're already looking forward to this vote. And their friends in the EU are launching some legal cases against the British government, which will drag things down the line. And and if anything is to go by which has happened before in the Brexit process, well, what will happen is that I'm thinking that they'll go to a court. And what they'll do is they'll put the brakes on any legislation that is going to be implemented, or if that it's implemented, it can be overturned and so on and so forth. So this vote, actually, by the time that we get to the end of these legal processes, this vote will actually take place. So there's only just one simple solution to this entire problem, and that is that the protocol needs to be ripped up right now. The protocol needs to be binned. The protocol it needn't show its ugly head around unionism in the United Kingdom ever again, because it is destined to ensure that we are locked into the EU forever, separating Northern Ireland from England, Scotland, and Wales. And any unionist that doesn't actually get that, again, I ask, and I'm going to use the words of Edward Carson from just over 100 years ago, when he said, "When is a unionist not a unionist? When he causes disunion." And you see, what does disunion mean? Disunion means, and I'll use Arlene Foster's words here, is that whenever you place regulatory or customs border in Larne, Belfast, or Warrenpoint, those regulatory or customs checks in the green lane, which is being proposed under that bill, and in the red lane, well, once you place that, what you are doing is that you are impeding the constitutional integrity of the entire United Kingdom. And they're not my words. They are Arlene Foster's exact words. So what we want to do is that I'm going to play a small clip here. And I'm going to play this clip and then we'll start moving on. I'll just take Morris away here so that we don't go back onto that clip again. So I want to remind people of the genesis of this protocol. And if anyone thinks that the DUP have been on their side, if anyone thinks that the DUP have been doing the right thing, if anyone within our community thinks that you can trust the DUP, well, just listen to an MLA whenever he was on this screen after that he left the party, after that he told us personally that he couldn't be part of the shenanigans that was going on within Camp DUP from within that Northern Ireland Assembly. And he was specifically talking about the time in which that there were all MLAs from British Unionism in Northern Ireland. They all voted to breathe life into the constitutional changing protocol, with the exception of Jim Allister and Jim Wells. So we're going to let you hear Alex Easton actually outline why that it is that he took part and he put his name to that vote, breathing life into that constitutional changing protocol. That again, this is me trying to further, I guess, for the understanding for the people that is on this live chat. I mean, you mentioned the protocol there, and you mentioned that the way that the mainstream political parties, the party political machines, were dealing with the protocol. And you said that, you know, you seen that there were certain things that was happening. And then we went on to understand, say, for example, that the Secretary of State actually changed parts of the Belfast Agreement to allow the protocol to come into being. And I know that there was a vote in the Assembly, Alex, and it was the vote whereby that each and every MLA actually voted in a particular way to permit the mechanisms that would actually breathe life into the protocol. And there were two people that didn't actually vote for that. And I'm going to come off the back of this with a question for you. The two people were Jim Allister and Jim Wells at the time, and each and every person in that assembly, including yourself, Alex, is actually voted for those mechanisms. Now, this isn't an attack on the DUP, but this is me just asking, I mean, how were you sold that? How were you I mean, you did obviously go along with the party. I mean, was it necessary? You know, is there anything that you could say why that you would have voted at that time when Jim Allister and Jim Wells didn't at that time?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to apologise for the way I voted, but when that came up, you know, the sheet of paper you were given didn't show you all these different regulations on them, so it didn't even mention how many regulations there were. And when I queried that, I asked one of the DUP spads, because I knew it had something to do with it, and I was given this assurance that it was keeping us in line with the rest of the United Kingdom, and there was absolutely nothing to worry about. It had gone through the DERA committee, and our representatives didn't raise any issues with it. And I was led to believe that there was nothing whatsoever to worry about with that. And I trusted what I was told, and I made a mistake. And that's how it was sold to me, and I can only apologise. But it won't happen again, I can assure you.
Yeah. And in later times, Alex, whenever you began to realise and you begin to see, and then you understand through court cases that is happening right now, that the active union actually was altered, and in parts of the Belfast Agreement were altered in order to permit this to happen. I mean, did that form part of your decision to think that you don't want to be in the position whereby you have to do things like that again? Is that a reason why?
It was part of it. When you're in a party, you have to take the whip, and sometimes you vote for things that maybe you wouldn't want to. And anyone who's maybe noticed the last year, I mean, I did have a wee bit of a rebellion off and on, so that was brewing. But I'm my own man. I didn't want to let my people down. And I don't want to vote for anything to do with the protocol that's going to weaken our position within the United Kingdom. It's just not on. It's not me, and it's not acceptable. And now I'm in that position where I can make my own decisions, and nobody can bully me into doing something that I don't want to do.
Alex, if you read that. So just by putting that down, and I think we got enough out of what it is that Alex had to say there. But you see, if you understand that, and we'll recap, is that what Alex was actually saying was that he was given a sheet of paper, that all the regulations weren't actually outlined on the sheet of paper. In other words, he didn't know what he was voting for. He was being told by a DUP spad, and we reckon that we know who that DUP spad is, even though that Alex hasn't told us. But he was being swindled by the DUP hierarchy to vote in a way in the Assembly that the protocol would actually be put in place. So again, I'm saying, if you think that you can trust the DUP, don't take my word for it. There is a man that couldn't have it on his conscience and who left the DUP for that exact reason, in where that he was swindled into voting for the protocol. Well, just not that reason, but that and other reasons, where he said that he couldn't have it on his conscience, doing that on the people that would have elected him in the office, would have elected him to serve and protect their best interests. And believe me, their best interests were not being looked after. And isn't it wonderful that Alex Easton in the Assembly elections, well, he went forward and he topped the poll, as an independent. And, we're looking forward to the next general election, in where that all unionists should stand down to ensure that Alex Easton can take Stephen Farry down. Stephen Farry from the Alliance Party, who shouldn't be in that seat, who wouldn't have been in that seat if it hadn't have been for the Ulster Unionist Party previously, who would have stood against them, taken away 4,000 votes, which permitted Stephen Farry from the Alliance Party to actually get elected. So there you go, people. There is, that's what happened. Let me just check something. I want to throw this up onto the screen for a second here. I want to put it up because I need to know what this is, so that I can kick it from the screen.
Will never be used? Is that there's no way that they can add some language?
We'll keep that for later. That's why I kept it there, but it didn't actually. So I'm going to take it back off the screen again. So there we go, people. There is just another reason as to the, how that we have identified that the corruption within our politics, the corruption within leadership, within British unionism today, which is driving us in a totally reckless way, and in a way that could see the end of unionism here in Northern Ireland as part of the United Kingdom. So we're going to move on. And we're going to move on to another little clip. And what we want to do this time is that we want to go to the Nolan show. And we want to draw something from the Nolan show, which was said just a few days ago. So I'm going to pop this onto the screen. We're going to let it play through, and then we're going to do what we do. We're going to go back and we're going to dissect some of the little things that was actually said. So listen very carefully, because you're going to get your eyes open to a few things. So this is an account, and this is credit to the Nolan show. We have to do that. So this is credit to the Nolan show, and we want you to listen to these clips, and we want for you to get a broad range of what people are saying about this bill, which just came out just a few days ago. So we're going to pop this up on your screen. We're going to, I done something silly there. Just bear with me.
Is possible.
Bear with me for a second. I done something silly again there.
Bear with me. Laid out its proposal.
Right. So let me go back. I done something silly. I just pressed the wrong button there. So if you just bear with me for a second. I had nothing planned this evening. Now, I knew what clips we were going to be playing. We're playing this in a totally different way. Normally we cut our own clips and we, play everything for ourselves. But I've been working hard in the last few days, and we put together this show, some last night and some today, but we didn't spend a lot of time on it, is the truth of the matter. However, as you see, we've now got the experience to be able to do this type of thing. And, and it's thanks to you people with the technology and so on that we have to do this nowadays. So we're going to share the screen and we're going to listen to Mr. Nolan then. So we are, and what was said on the Nolan show within the past few days. So here we go.
Legislation to change the protocol. The unilateral action has been welcomed by the DUP, but the Sinn Féin President, Michelle O'Neill, accused the government of undermining political stability and economic certainty here with its actions over the protocol.
Both Boris Johnson and Brandon Lewis are dishonest with the truth. They do not speak facts in terms of the reality here that the protocol is working. So it's incumbent upon us as political leaders or political parties with a mandate from the people here to actually call them out whenever what they're doing is wrong. And what they're doing clearly today, to breach international law, to undermine our political stability, to undermine our economic certainty, then that needs to be called out.
So yet again, I'm going to let you know that what you're going to get here is you're going to get a succession of clips and where that you're going to listen to all the political leaders here in Northern Ireland. So you just heard Michelle O'Neill, and again, credit to the Nolan Show for these clips here, and we're going to play on as we go.
Sir Geoffrey Donaldson.
We believe it is right that the UK government takes this action. The UK government has a primary responsibility to protect the integrity of the United Kingdom and its internal market, whilst at the same time making reasonable proposals that offer protection to the European Union and their single market.
So again, I want to draw your attention to what it was that Geoffrey just said there. So, you know, the British government are making reasonable proposals that would protect the EU single market. That's what he said. Now, this is the point where I want to go back and I want now to superimpose what it was that Arlene Foster had said. Now, this is the DUP leader of then, which is still in the DUP today, which did say that regulatory or customs checks, which is green lane, which is red lane, they're EU border checks, they're EU customs checks. They are checking goods coming into the EU market. That, people, is a customs border. Now, I want you to listen now, after what Geoffrey Donaldson said there, I want you to listen to Arlene Foster from within the DUP. I'm saying I wanted you to listen to this here. So I know what it is. The stream. Oh, there we go. It's that one. It's that one. Here we go. I'm doing things that I've never done before with this software. So here we go.
That any checks across the North Sea, even if they are of a regulatory nature, not customs checks.
No, and it's been very clear all along. That has been our one red line, that we cannot have either a customs border down the Irish Sea or a regulatory border, because that would make us separate from the rest of the United Kingdom.
So that was the DUP's one red line: customs checks and regulatory border. Now listen to what she said, and we're going to go back again. And you heard what Geoffrey said, is that he's glad to see that the British government are making reasonable proposals to protect the EU market, the EU single market. And what is it they're proposing? They're proposing customs checks and a regulatory border. And listen to what Arlene Foster said, that it would do if there was a customs check and a regulatory border.
That doesn't work from a constitutional perspective, and it doesn't work from an economic perspective either.
What if there was some political declaration that, okay, we have to agree to the possibility of checks, but they'll never be used? There's no way that they can add some language that would make you happy with any kind of the extra checks?
No, because of course that would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom.
So that would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. That's what Arlene Foster said. So we've got a serious question here for the DUP, for their what we'll call it? We'll call it their executive office. And the serious question is that if the DUP believed that customs and regulatory checks would have impeded the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom, if that's what they believe, then it's still the same people who are running the good ship DUP. It is still the same people. So what has changed? They believed it then. Why don't they believe it now? That's a real question. And we intend actually pursuing the DUP on that very question. So again, let's play on with what it is that Mr. Nolan was playing. And let's just hear the broad scale of what it is that people are saying with reference to this new bill. Now, we're going to draw your attention, and this is for laughs, let's just say, is that we can't wait till we get to know Naomi Long, because this is gold from Naomi Long.
Earlier, I spoke to the leader of the Alliance Party, Naomi Long, and asked her what issues she had with some of the UK government's proposals.
Well, I mean, first of all, Stephen, what the UK government says and what the UK government actually does can be two very different things, as we're witnessing at the moment. So I prefer to look at what the legislation says and does, rather than listen to the government. But in terms of what's wrong with that, there isn't necessarily anything wrong with that. And there are a number of the proposals in the legislation that Alliance previously said we would be quite content with. Our fundamental concern around this is the manner in which this is being done. So, for example, let's take that, because that's one that there's been a huge amount of fuss around recently. That money that wasn't able to be passed on as VAT reductions in Northern Ireland because of the kind of green insulation and so on, that is able to be passed on as a part of consequential, and the UK government can't control that on that. They have to get the agreement of the European Union.
Yeah, but with the permission of the EU.
Well, just a second, the European Union, not with the permission, with negotiation, is that.
So this is comedy gold here, people. It really is. So she says about the VAT that the UK government can change that themselves. And he says, yeah, with the permission of the EU is what Nolan says. And she says, no, with negotiation from the EU. But that's with permission of the EU. So they have to ask the EU, can they change the VAT on fuel, for example? And, but listen to how the bucket mouth here continues on, yelping, screeching in a nonsensical way. And, and also listen to how that Mr. Nolan would allow her to get off the hook and not actually challenge her on some of the things that she's saying. And, it gets better. It really gets better. So he says, well, yeah, the British government have to go and ask permission from the EU. No. They have to go and negotiate with the EU. But that's permission. Ask their permission. Doesn't anyway, let's press on. Motor mouth here. Just you gotta listen to this, because this is gold. This is gold.
How partnership works. So they need to approach the EU, and they haven't requested that. So, there is a level of disingenuity in all of this, because the suggestion that they can't do things isn't really true. The truth is they haven't tried to do them through the legal routes that are available in the deal that they negotiated and they signed.
But it is surely about the principle, Naomi, of a sovereign state, the United Kingdom. Why should it need to agree what taxes it cuts in part of its own country with a foreign entity, namely the EU?
Because it made a decision when it negotiated the withdrawal agreement and the protocol that Northern Ireland would benefit from remaining within the single market. And in order to be a member of the single market, there are certain rules. And in order to maintain those rules, you've got to work with the EU and not unilaterally. So that's a decision the government took. It's one that is benefiting the Northern Ireland economy. We can see that in terms of Northern Ireland being one of only two regions that's experiencing growth in the UK at the moment. We can see that in terms of even just in the last 24 hours, massive contract for Wrightbus and lots of opportunities for other businesses to be able to grow and expand because of unfettered access into both markets.
And let's just stop right there. She talked about Northern Ireland having unfettered access into both markets. Didn't the UK government do a trade deal with the EU, which allows for tariff-free trade? And Naomi Long putting that down to the fact that because we're here, we're having the best of both worlds. Well, if we were in the United Kingdom, we would also be having the best of both worlds. Let's play on for a moment or two, because this gets good.
But the consequence, because nothing in this life comes for free, the consequence of us having those advantages, those competitive advantages, which, by the way, we're not fully exploiting, is that we have to work with the EU and not independently of it. And what we're saying, Stephen, is that many of the pragmatic issues that people object to in terms of numbers of checks and all of those things could be resolved by better working with the EU. So, for example, a veterinary agreement with the EU, a bespoke veterinary agreement between the UK and the EU would probably reduce the number of checks at ports by about 90%. Yet the government aren't exploring that as an option. Irrespective of what's in the bill in terms of the kind of detailed proposal, some of which we think are a good idea and some of which we think are not. But this is not the way to deal with it. The way to deal with it is to get the agreement with the EU to do this. And the EU have indicated, for example, on that, the EU have already indicated that they are open to that agreement. So this isn't that the EU are refusing to do it. This is that the UK refusing to ask.
Well, refusing to ask, it could be argued about their own country, but surely there's a bigger picture here, which is that every time the rules change, that there is divergence between how the United Kingdom is managing its standards and the EU. Every time the EU would change its standards, the UK would have to go and ask this foreign entity, because Brexit happened, ask these member states, which we have no control, no say over, please, could we do this in part of the United Kingdom, namely Northern Ireland? And that's what this legislation is trying to change.
Stephen. That's not accurate, Stephen. The only time the UK government would need to approach the EU in terms of divergence is where the UK government wants to lower standards. Now, I don't think the people of Northern Ireland want lower standards.
No, or different standards.
No.
Now, this is really where it gets good. This is what people need to understand about this babbling buffoon, is that, just listen to what she's going to try to argue here. That Stephen Nolan had said to her that, it means to say that the EU have the power to change the regulations within the EU single market. And does that mean then the British government are going to have to continue to run back to the EU to say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, can we change? Can we do this? Or if the British government want to change their rules and their regulations, they're going to have to go and ask permission from the British government. Now, would you hear? She said no. She said no. Let's just hear her rationale for what it is that she's actually saying.
No, that's not accurate. That's not accurate. Anything above the EU minimum standards would be acceptable in the single market, and therefore would cause problems.
Yeah, above the UK has its own standards, which it thinks is good enough for its own country.
Well, there's your point, good enough. What I'm saying is, so long as the UK standards exceed those in the EU, there are no issues whatsoever.
But why can't the UK have its own standards, whether it exceeds the EU at all?
If the UK wants to lower standards on issues, then obviously that will cause an issue, because goods and products and services in Northern Ireland would then be manufactured to the higher standard, which would be the EU standard, and that would then be able to goods from Northern Ireland.
Let's just stop there for a moment, because I think, I'm beginning to lose, I don't know, is this, I don't know, what's she taking? What, is she on drugs or something? If you are exporting to the EU, you've got to meet with their standards, no matter where you're from. It's as simple as that. You've got to meet with their standards, and if you're going to export from England, Scotland, or Wales, or China, or whatever, you've got to meet with their standards. Just listen to this. So if there's higher standards, if there's lower standards, they wouldn't need to ask. And I mean, this woman, there's something seriously wrong with her. But just listen to more of this. You have to listen to more of this. And we will make a video clip of these words, I have to say. I nearly fell off my seat when I listened to Naomi yesterday, trying to argue for nothing. She's actually causing a fight in an empty room here.
Would be able still to access both marketplaces because it would meet the minimum standards in both. The issue then would arise for goods coming from GB through Northern Ireland to the single market, and that's where the EU would rightly want checks, because, as you say, they should have a choice whether or not they set standards that are lower than the ones that they set. So that's the issue, Stephen. It's not actually an issue for people in Northern Ireland or businesses in Northern Ireland as things stand. It's an issue for GB businesses who would want to export to Northern Ireland but would find it to confirm that those exports are not going on beyond Northern Ireland.
So she says that it's now, listen very carefully, it's an issue for companies in GB, England, Scotland, or Wales, if they want to export into Northern Ireland. There's now issues for those people having to meet with criteria and standards and so on and so forth. That people is known as divergence. That is known as different standards. That is known as different rules, different regulations. What was it Arlene Foster said? That a regulatory or customs border, and that was the thing that would have to be put in place to check those goods coming from GB, as she calls it. GB, isn't it funny that they're now GB? That's England, Scotland, and Wales, and we're now near Northern Ireland. And those goods would have to meet with certain regulations coming into Northern Ireland, which is now part of the EU single market. And what it is that the British government are proposing, and what it is that the DUP are supporting, what it is that Jeffrey Donaldson has agreed in principle, is for us to be in some sort of limbo land, in where that we're not in the United Kingdom, we're not in the EU, and we have to have checks, customs and regulatory checks coming from England, Scotland, and Wales to Northern Ireland. And I mean, you hear Naomi Long trying to explain it there, and I don't think she knows what she's talking about. I think she needs to go and maybe take more tablets or whatever, because she's certainly on something whenever that she's trying to argue she's trying to cause a fight in an empty room. There is no argument, and she's making all sorts of argument. It's just for the sake of speaking. She's just babbling and babbling and babbling and babbling. So we'll just get to the end of Naomi for the sake of documentation purpose, and then we'll actually move on here.
The EU, if the government decides to lower standards. But why would the government decide to or want to lower standards? I mean, how could that be good for consumers when we're talking here solely about trade and market issues? Of course, we want the highest possible standards. The government have said they want the highest possible standards. So on what circumstances is this going to be needed? The truth is, I think, Stephen, this is very clearly a political issue. This is one that Boris is now in house to the ERG. He is over barrel because of his own bad behaviour and the rebellion that he has seen in terms of the vote of confidence. The ERG are now taking control of the situation, and they will determine his future and, sadly, our future if this is allowed to continue. And I think that's a very high-risk strategy, because remember, the ERG formed a star chamber before, and they approved the withdrawal agreement, and they approved the deal that was done in Europe. These are people with a reputation for getting things wrong by their own standards, and yet now they're the people who are essentially deciding the future of Northern Ireland, and they're doing it without any recourse to those of us who actually represent Northern Ireland. And I think that's a hugely damaging approach to take to these issues.
Whatever has happened in the past, the current situation in Northern Ireland is not one unionist party supports the protocol. Sir Jeffrey Donaldson attempted to get changes over a 2-year period. It didn't happen. And now he's staying out of government until it does happen. How is that not sensible?
Well, we all know that Sir Jeffrey is engaged in ransom politics. We've seen it before with other parties, and we're now seeing it with the DUP. And unfortunately, our institutions lend themselves to that kind of ransom politics, where the people of Northern Ireland are essentially, it's not just the institutions, it's the people of Northern Ireland and their future are being held to ransom by a single party. That needs to stop, and we're very clear with both governments that what needs to happen is reform of our institutions, so that is no longer possible. Irrespective of people's positions on things, there are lots of things I don't like that the government do, but I can't hold the government to ransom, nor should I be able to. And I think that needs to apply to all politicians. That's not how you do business, and it's not how you do government. We need a government in Northern Ireland irrespective of what happens with the protocol. People need to see the cost of living crisis, the health service, and all of those other really urgent issues resolved. And what they don't need is a standoff. But when it comes to the issue of where we are in Northern Ireland, where we have gotten to is important, as is how we got here. This is the deal that the government negotiated. That's how international relations work. You negotiate a deal, and then surprise, surprise, you're expected to keep your word.
But in terms of where we currently are, finally, do you think this legislation, because people don't really get themselves involved in how long it takes for the reading of a bill and a second reading and all the processes of Parliament, do you think the DUP are not going to be able to test whether the British government are going through this for months, even up to a year? Are we out of government for up to a year, do you think?
Well, look, Stephen, I don't believe we need to be out of government. I've made that clear. I think we can do government and negotiation at the same time, and that should be the norm. That's how everywhere else in the world works, and we should be doing it too. So I don't believe that this legislation not having finalised is good reason for the DUP to sit back, not just out of government, but out of the Assembly, so that we're left with ministers, no scrutiny and all the rest of it. That wasn't something they promised the public in the elections, and I don't believe that it's justified. But yes, this legislation, first of all, there's no guarantee it will go through the House of Commons. If it goes through the House of Commons, there is absolutely no guarantee it will go through the House of Lords. And furthermore, if it manages to do all of that and get royal assent, there's no guarantee that Boris Johnson will be the Prime Minister implementing it. And we know there are major differences in Cabinet because people like Michael Gove and Rishi Sunak and others recognise that this is hugely damaging to the UK's reputation, but also to the UK's economy. And I think that's the difficulty that the DUP have. But it's a difficulty, Stephen, of their own making. Holding people to ransom is not the way to do business. The DUP need to get back into the Assembly and Executive, do their job.
Oh, we had to take Naomi down there. So there you go. One thing she did say, and one thing she was absolutely spot on with reference, and that was at the end, in where that she says that there's no guarantee that this legislation is going to get through. There's no guarantee that Boris Johnson is even going to be the Prime Minister in the near future. And she listed a number of reasons as to why that it is that unionism, the ones that like this deal, even though that Jim Allister has spoken against it, Ben Habib has spoken against it. Here at Restore, we are speaking against it. Most people that I know are speaking against it. And there's only one test for the legislation, for the bill that is out there right now. And the one test is this. And it goes along with what Arlene Foster had been saying. And that is there divergence in the way that we trade between Northern Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales? And if there is, that constitutes separation. That constitutes a border for slow learners. And that constitutes, in the words of Arlene Foster, well, I'll not say it. Let's play Arlene Foster one more time. And then we're down to our last video. We're going to play our last video after this, and we're going to bring our screen to a close. So let me know what you thought of the screen. Let me know what you think of how that is that Arlene Foster had said this. Because this was a find, this is gold, and this we're going to be pushing forward to the DUP, and we're going to ask them to explain why that it is that they've moved position, why that it is that they're happy enough to accept a border in a way that there's regulatory and customs checks in that border, causing the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom to be, well, let's just hear what Arlene Foster is saying it for herself.
Any checks across the North Sea, even if they are of a regulatory nature, not customs checks?
No, and it's been very clear all along. That has been our one red line, that we cannot have either a customs border down the Irish Sea or a regulatory border, because that would make us separate from the rest of the United Kingdom. And that doesn't work from a constitutional perspective, and it doesn't work from an economic perspective either.
What if there was some political declaration that, okay, we have to agree to the possibility of checks, but they'll never be used? There's no way that they can add some language that would make you happy with any kind of the extra checks?
No, because of course that would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom.
So there we go. What's on offer? That would impede the constitutional integrity of the United Kingdom. Game, set and match. Arlene Foster actually telling you, telling me, telling the DUP, telling Jamie Bryson that that's not good enough for unionism here in Northern Ireland. You know, there may be some good things in that bill that came out just a few days ago, but only on the promise of the never, never, remembering that it kicks the can down the road, that it places us in the position in where the Sinn Féin have already identified that there is to be a vote in the Assembly in 2024. And if we press on down the line without actually making sure that that protocol is taken off the table for once and for all, well then unionism here in Northern Ireland will have squandered the single greatest opportunity that they have had since that protocol came into being. Unionism will have squandered that opportunity by ratifying that deal. And as Jeffrey Donaldson would have said, as Gavin Robinson would have said, that they says that it would form the basis of them going back into the Northern Ireland Assembly, in where that there's going to be a vote to keep the protocol in 2024. So there we go again. Just another little conclusive outlining of events and how that things would unfold. And I sometimes wonder who the strategists are from within the political parties that we have. I really, really do. And, before that we play our last little clip, I want to do this. And, it's something that we do here at Restore. It's coming up to July time. And this time last year, what we done at Restore was that we went around the bonfires in Northern Ireland, mostly the controversial bonfires. And what we did was that we purchased banners, lots of banners, and we left one of those banners with all the bonfires around Northern Ireland. And, we were, those big bonfires in Portadown, the ones in Larne, the ones in Antrim, the ones up around Dungannon, Moygashill, so on and so forth, to name but a few. But, all of those people, they took the banners that we at Restore supplied. And, on those banners it said, "Know your enemy." And who was our enemy? Well, our enemy was the Irish government. Our enemy was Simon Coveney, Micheál Martin, and Leo Varadkar. Know your enemy. So we want to do the same this year. We want to get some banners prepared, and we want to do something on a similar basis this year. And who knows, we may even include the likes of that babbling buffoon, Naomi Long, on it. Who knows? Who knows who will put in those banners this year? So there's a PayPal link. If you would like to contribute to making this possible, well, you know what to do. Clicking that link, put in a few pound, and we'll do what we've done last year. We'll get as many of these banners printed as we possibly can, and we'll photograph them. We'll put them around the bonfire sites to cause a bit of controversy in Northern Ireland, but with a very, very serious message. And that serious message is that if those people think that they're creating reconciliation in this country, we say, think again, because all they're doing is that they are driving the ordinary, decent people in Northern Ireland, the unionist people of Northern Ireland, they're driving us into a position in where that we have to act. Whilst that we want peace, whilst that we want reconciliation, well, we're certainly not going to let people walk all over us. We haven't done before in the past. We won't do it today either. We won't do it tomorrow, and we won't let anyone walk over us at any time. And I say at any time in the future. So if you can help our work, click on that link, pop a few pounds in, and watch your money going to very good use on the run up to the bonfires in around the 11th of July and over the marching season. So there we go, people. There we go. We're coming to the end of another Restore Live. I'm just going to pop this one off the screen before that we finish. And I'm going to say a big thank you to the people that have stayed with us from start to finish. 1 hour and 38 minutes, the streams. I mean, we could go on for longer than this. You see that we're very well capable of doing these things nowadays. I want to thank the people on Twitter. I want to thank the people on the YouTube channel, the people right across the Facebook platforms. Thank you very much for sticking with us and for making Restore UK the people's platform, and the platform which you all come to regularly, and which is all support, and which is all there's a lot of people that actually contribute to making this possible. So once again, thanks very much for doing that. Now, what I want to do is that I want to play just one more video, and this is from TalkPack today, and this is, let me see, the 15th. Yeah, it was today. Just had to check. So I want to let you hear something. Now, who remembers Maros Sefcovic at the start, in where that he said that the EU will be taking the British government to court? Now, I'm going to now let you hear what the consequences of going to court actually is. And I want to emphasize this for a particular reason. So what I want to do is that I want to share the screen again. I'll talk as I go, and we'll go on to this. Here we go. So here we go, people.
What an EU official was saying today was, well, if the UK actually goes through with this legislation, which would disapply large swathes of the protocol, well, then we leave our options open to taking further action.
John, if this ever did end up in a European Court of Justice ruling, what's the worst case sanction the UK could face?
In this case, it's fines, basically, under this particular dispute resolution track. So again, Catherine Barnard was telling me a recent case where Greece was found to be in breach of some EU rules, and basically the Commission landed them with a £10 million fine, plus for every 6 months that they failed to remedy whatever the breach was, they get hit with another, €10 million fine, they would get hit with another €3 million. So those are the sorts of numbers we're talking about.
So, if they take the British government to court for breach of the protocol, the EU court, they have the ability to fine the British government £10 million, and then for every 6 months, is it that he said, was it 6 months? Was it 3 months? For every 6 months that they don't remedy the problems by putting the border back in the North Channel, separating Northern Ireland from England, Scotland and Wales, for every 6 months that they don't do that, well, the EU has the right under this trade agreement, the Protocol Withdrawal Act bill, or whatever it is, they have the ability to charge another £3 million every 6 months. So there you go. There's where we stand. That's the friendly EU for you. That if the British government, now let's just finish on these notes. If the British government don't continue to keep Northern Ireland separated from England, Scotland and Wales, if the British government do not comply with the EU, well, they will take them to court. They will charge them huge amounts of money. Imagine being part of a club. People that are, what was the EU meant to be all about? It was meant to be a trading block of I'm going to say mutual benefit. And then when you don't do what they want, well, you see the consequences. If you don't separate your country, if you don't cause borders, internal borders within your country, if you don't meet with their demands that they don't want borders, they insist that you should have borders. And if you find that those borders are working against the UK internal market, well, you see, you've no redress to putting that right other than under that protocol bill. Well, what they can do is they can take you to court and they can charge you huge amounts of money ongoing forever and a day. with reference that if you don't rectify it, well, you've just got to pay up. I'm going to say that that would be a price worth paying, because to be part of that club, to be sucked into more problems through that club, they have to pay the money into that club. And we've seen something else just yesterday, in where that the European Convention on Human Rights, well, when the British government are trying to stem the flow of uncontrolled, uncontrollable immigration into the UK, in where that if it's not stemmed, if it's not stopped, you see this whole system will become so much overburdened that the system won't be able to function. And the EU insists that well, they have to come in. They have to come in. The globalists insist that you have to be overburdened, that the people here can't get hospital treatment, that the houses would be overburdened, that the schooling systems would be overburdened, that the benefit systems would be overburdened, that society in general, the fabric of society would be absolutely destroyed. And when you go to stand up to protect your own people, well, you see, under this globalization, under this EU, under the European Convention on Human Rights, well, apparently it followed last night that the British government does not have the right, even though that they left the EU, they do not have the right to control their borders in the way that they actually anticipated. Now, I know that there's things to be looked into in a legal form with reference exactly what I've just talked about there, but generally that's what appeared to be happening just last evening. So if I had to vote in a Brexit referendum again, I would be queuing at the voting at the polling station, let's just say, ready to vote in exactly the same way as I had voted before. And in fact, I reckon today that if there was another Brexit referendum, well, if it was right across the United Kingdom as it was, I believe that there would be more people that would be voting against this EU dictatorial Ponzi scheme. And whenever you look at Naomi Long, whenever you heard Naomi Long just there in her babbling buffoon way, she wasn't even making sense the way she was talking. And Nolan was letting her off the hook, by the way, and I hope you noticed that. But, Naomi Long, well, all she cares about is votes. All Sinn Féin care about is bringing people in here for votes. They don't care about their own people. They don't care about the hospitals, the schools, the system, the fabric of society being destroyed in the process. They don't care about that. All they care about is being in charge of this so-called, well, they call it a New Ireland. That's a place where not only are British people, or will British people not be welcome in, but currently in the Republic of Ireland, if you're Irish, well, you're far right, you're fascist, and you're racist. All of those three things in one. So people, thanks very much for coming along. If you can help with our work by putting a few pound into the PayPal link, if you can do that, well, so be it. And remember, we're looking to place some banners around the bonfire sites, just really reminding people of know your enemy. That's the ones we done last year. And then we had the big Restore badge on it where it said, Restore UK. Northern Ireland is British, no Irish sea border. That's what it said. Know your enemy. And we all know by now who our enemies are. So we really need to emphasize that. Thank you, people. Thank you. Thanks for staying along with us. Thanks to the people on Twitter. Thanks to the people on YouTube. And, well, once again, thanks, everybody. So playing us out with, well, something I'd like to play us out with. So we're going to play this song. We'll play something else. And it's good night from me. Once again, thank you.
just across the Irish Sea, stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drives a will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out of friendship, and a bond that's lasted centuries. And its hands across the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is the hand across the sea. Cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen and Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is a hand across the sea, just across the Irish Sea, stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drive the will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out in friendship, is the hand across the sea, is the hand across the sea.